Was he living in Melbourne on the streets the whole time, do you know?
Yeah, we're still piecing that together, Neil, from what we're trying to learn from yesterday. Certainly for a little period of time at least, he was living in that Fitzroy area, in a sort of homeless capacity, but we've already, just in that period of time, I think we've also had him in sort of country areas and also going down to Mornington Peninsula area as well, accessing the community. He seems to have had worked out where the community gardens have been. So getting in there and getting food out of some of those. So, but still early days and piecing it together. We don't know for how long he was actually in that Fitzroy area yet, but that'll form part of that inquiry.
Is it possible he's been dealing with agencies while living on the street, going to whatever agency to get help?
Yeah, could have been in terms of accessing food. It could have been, yeah.
And shelter, that's a problem though, isn't it?
Well, we don't know. I'm not sure about shelter, but certainly he may have been, accessing, food and things like that as far as support goes. And I guess it's a case of no one sort of recognising him when he's done that, which you'd obviously like people to be recognising people when they want it, especially someone like that. He's been wanting it a long time, so we've been repeatedly pushing messages out there.
So you would have been giving messages to the aid agencies. Did you have any suspicion he was living rough?
I think it was later on in the piece. It was thought that it was something that was more or less one of the options, because he wasn't sort of accessing that sort of network that normally people would sort of access. So it was certainly a possibility. Yeah.
Do you know if he had a mobile phone?
No, it appears though he was off the grid in that terms of that sort of stuff.
What about travel? How would he get around?
Well, that's a good question. No doubt they'll be looking at that. I don't know the answer to that, other than the fact he was on foot a lot of the time. But I don't know whether he's accessed public transport and that sort of stuff yet.
Do you believe he was a danger to the public during this time?
He was a danger to the public, yeah. He was someone that we've been wanting to get into custody for quite a while, and we're very grateful now that he is. And there were some brave actions yesterday by the people that grabbed him as well.
I heard suggestions he was receiving assistance from individuals or an individual. Is that correct, do you believe?
That is something that they're looking at. I did receive some of that information yesterday, and that's forming part of an ongoing investigation now.
Yeah, because that would be a pretty serious charge, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that's well and truly aid and abet there. That's a serious offence.
There was a report that he had a sort of a hit list of people. Can you tell us what that was?
Yeah, that's forming part of the investigation. There was some information that he was looking to act out violently against a list of people he knew, and one of the streams being investigated is whether yesterday, he may have been attempting to do that yesterday, but that's again. He'll be at court this morning, and that's all going to have to form part of the investigation.
Do you know how many people were on that list?
No, I don't know.
The man who was assaulted outside his house, and we believe was partly responsible for the citizen's arrest yesterday, had he been given police protection, or had anybody else been given police protection?
I believe we had been in contact with a number of people about that, and he was one of those, I'm given to understand. And he... he was lucky he wasn't more seriously injured last time when he was assaulted with, I think it was a hammer from memory, and, so he was someone that we obviously did have concerns about.
So presumably there's a possibility of further charges being laid here?
Oh yeah, we are expecting further charges, Neil, and at the moment he's facing a murder charge, but there are other charges we expect to follow, yeah.
Is there any suspicion that he may in fact have dealt with police in that 2.5 years and not been recognised?
Yeah, we've obviously asked that question, and there's no sign of that at this stage, but certainly if that becomes the case, then we'll make that known for sure.
The people who helped to catch him or arrest him yesterday, are they eligible for the $100,000 award? Yeah,
they're certainly eligible, and we have got a rewards committee that we operate with rewards, and that'll be considered by that committee. But they certainly acted pretty bravely yesterday, and we'll also look at whether other bravery type recognition might be available to them as well.
Well, I'm a little confused. There were 2 people involved. Does that include the man who was allegedly being stalked?
Correct.
So it's the man who was being stalked plus an assistant?
Yes.
Somebody he knew?
Yes.
Is there a change of mood here? We've seen what happened in Sydney with the public getting involved with the man with the knife, and I guess this is a little different because it involves a potential victim. But is there more of a public willingness to get involved in these sort of situations, do you think, is it, to make a citizen's arrest?
Yeah, I think that there's certainly been a few of those incidents going around, as you mentioned that, and there was a terrible one in Sydney. A fellow was just stabbing people in the street, and the citizens arrested him quite bravely. And we have had incidents recently, like we had a policewoman assaulted at Geelong a couple of weeks back outside the footy, and fortunately people just came to her assistance. You know, she was badly concussed and significant bruising, etc., from an assault from a patron, and members of the public just came up and helped to support her and sort of in his arrest, and then as other police were arriving. So, look, I'm not against it in some contexts, because it's good that people are stepping up, but people just need to know that comes with risk. And of course, I always think about that poor fella, that's Good Samaritan in the city, who attempted to come to the aid of a young woman a few years back in William Street, and he was shot by the offender.
Well, there's another one out in the west. We were helping the family. A man intervened in a domestic beside the road and was stabbed to death a couple of years ago.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you're right. And so you can have some tragic outcomes. So you know, we can't sort of say, oh, look, we encourage people to do this for that reason. But you know, I think in a healthy society, people are stepping up, and you know, I think that side of it is a positive. So
what's your advice to them? I don't know anybody would know how they'd react unless they're put in that situation. You know, could you, would you, what would you do? Yeah. What is your advice to people?
Well, I try not to give one set of advice, because, you know, if you say you're in a house at night and someone's breaking in, you never know how you're going to react in that sort of situation, if they're subject of a home invasion or something like that, or find yourself where you see something happening that you know is not right, but it could potentially adversely affect your safety should you intervene. Everyone's going to make a different call at that time based on their circumstances. So, look, the main thing is just try and assess the situation. Obviously, try and get authorities there as quickly as you can. But at the same time, it's a matter of sort of personal judgment as to how you will involve yourself. And if you involve yourself, no one's going to be jumping all over you if you don't get involved, because it does come with personal risk.
Well, Jonathan Dick clearly had facial injuries after the citizen's arrest. Is there any danger the people who grabbed him could face charges?
I wouldn't have thought so, Neil. That's they also received minor injuries as well in that scuffle, and I wouldn't have thought that would be taking place.
Where have you been looking for him?
All over Victoria, and the Fugitive Task Force have been after him for a fair while now, as you know. So we've been getting a lot of reports of sightings all over the place for him at different times.
You ever got close?
We think, well, just last week we had, I think it was reported in that car park at the city near where he was. There was CCTV there that we combed through, because we had a report that someone thought they saw him there. And based on where he was captured, you know, it's highly likely that was him, but the CCTV didn't show anything.
I've always thought, with the amount of CCTV around and the efficiency and the new technology the police use, that it would be almost impossible to disappear. But he has, successfully. Yeah. I mean, is it that hard to find somebody? Oh,
when you've got, you know, hundreds of thousands of people moving through places like the CBD and in the suburbs, it is hard. Like, we don't have that sort of facial recognition technology, you know, like that could say comb through like in the Born Identity and find these people and just pluck them out. It doesn't. We don't sort of have that. So, you know, it's good in terms of capturing evidence and enabling us to determine what's happening quickly and get to scenes quickly. But in terms of that evidence sort of stuff, plucking people out of massive crowds, it's still pretty sketchy stuff.
We'll take a break, come back with questions and your calls for the Chief Commissioner, 96900 693 13 13 32.